You are Locked On Jets POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports New York on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The New York Jets play all the greatest hits in a 28-27 loss to the Indianapolis Colts to drop to 3-8 on the season. Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Jets POSTCAST. I am your host, Chris Schubert. Feels like it's been a while. Feels like we haven't had an opportunity to meet and discuss some Jets football in the last couple of weeks, but here we are, and we welcome you into what is going to be another breakdown, another dissection of the New York Jets. Disappointing once again in the fourth quarter. We will get to it all, but before that, got to tell you about today's episode brought to you by Hillsdale College. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. It was not easy for the New York Jets offense to get started here today, as the Jets, they played all the greatest hits today. When you think of the 2024 New York Jets, what do you think of? You think of a team that gets off to slow starts. You think of a team that offensively, it takes a really long time to get into gear. Well, that's what the New York Jets did today. They were an offense that struggled, did not get a first down until late into the second quarter, around halftime. There were a lot of conversations on social media and in the game of would they get a first down in the first half. 3 straight 3-and-outs. They tried to get cute on a 4th and 1, where instead of just giving it to your draft pick, who's a big bruising tailback in Braylon Allen, they decided to get cute and put Tyler Conklin under center and try to sneak it. Just when you don't have a first down, that's not the time to get cute. How about we get into flow? How about we operate our offense with the talent that we have before we start going for some trickeration in the second quarter of a football game? That was a disaster. It took them a really long time to get going. They ultimately did score and then came out with a nice score into the second half, and they played better in the second half. So that's part one of our greatest hits. If this was a Top 40s radio station, we're playing all the stuff that people like, or all the stuff that you just know and love. You know that you're going to see it. And when you see the New York Jets, you're going to see an offense that struggles. You're going to see a defense that just gives up big plays and big moments when you least can have them. And that is what the New York Jets did with Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts in the second half, and specifically in the fourth quarter of this football game. And then really the greatest hits of them all, that the New York Jets have the ball with a chance to kick a field goal to win the football game, and their offense is a complete disaster. Didn't have any timeouts, and from the moment they ran that first play to lose a bunch of yards, it was over. They were never going to be able to recover from that, and this is who they are. They're a 3-8 football team, and I'm not going to do the what should they do here, but going into this game, there were reports about what a 2025 New York Jets team would look like, and with those reports of what it would take for Rodgers to come back and what it would look like if Rodgers did come back, that was the effort this team put in front of you to say, should you want this back in 2025? So that's how it broke down. The Indianapolis Colts take the lead late. Their defense holds. They move to 4-6. The Jets move to 3-7 now on the season, or 3-8 now on the season, and that should do it. If you were somebody out there who thought that the New York Jets still had a chance, if you were somebody out there who thought that mathematically they were still alive, today should have told you everything that you needed to know. This team is not going anywhere, and they're not going anywhere quickly, because even when they have a good second half, just like they did against Houston, just like they've done other times this season, they just can't come through with the big play in the big moment, whether it's on offense or on defense, and today it was both. And they lose 28-27, but they score over 25 points for the first time this season. They were the only team that hadn't scored more than 25 points in a game. They at least got to check that box off, and they at least showed more fight than they did last week on the road against Houston, and now they will go into their bye week at 3-8 and do a lot of soul searching. Let's talk about that first half for the New York Jets, and we'll get into the stats a little bit later on in the post show, but we'll just break it down here and just talk about what happened here. And it's pretty easy to talk about what happened in the first half, because let's look at this drive chart for the New York Jets. Their first play, they go 3 plays, 7 yards, and they punt. And they immediately give up points, and then it's 3 plays, 1 yard punt. And you just could very easily get the feeling that this is still the same team we saw against Arizona. This team just has no early juice. They just have an inability to get off to a good start. And you feel like every week the talk with the coaches, the talk with the players, they continue to emphasize the importance of a good start, the importance of starting fast, the importance of getting into a rhythm early. And I'm done believing them. I don't believe them when they say it anymore. I'm sure you don't believe them when they say it anymore, but they keep saying it. And then they keep not doing it. They keep failing in those moments. And they followed up those first 2 3-and-outs where they gained a combined 8 yards with another punt, 3 plays, 1 yard, nothing. And then they give up a touchdown, and they're down 10-0 and they go to touch the ball for the fourth time in this game. And that was the drive where on 4th and 1, they tried a direct snap to Tyler Conklin. And look, I need somebody to explain this to me. I appreciate the creativity. I appreciate the willingness to do creative things, to do trick plays, to try to catch the defense napping. You were doing nothing offensively. You were doing nothing. When you are doing nothing and you're not moving the ball at all, you can't get anything going. We got to go to bread and butter. We got to go to fundamentals. We got to go to football 101. We have to go to absolute basics to be able to get our offense into rhythm. And the basics are to put Aaron Rodgers under center, to have Braylon Allen in the backfield, and give the ball to Braylon Allen. If they can't get 1 yard, even if everybody knows what they're running, if they can't get 1 yard with the guy that they drafted to be that type of back, then they don't deserve to gain a yard. And you saw that they didn't deserve to gain a yard because they put Tyler Conklin under center. They gave him a direct snap, and he pushed, and the offensive line gave him nothing. They had no juice up front. Tyler Conklin wasn't pushing. The offensive line wasn't pushing. There just wasn't any effort. The Jets got completely pushed back on that play. And so we're doing nothing offensively. We try to snap ourselves out of it with a trick play, and the effort level, it was just poor. Just absolutely dreadful effort there on that. So you give the ball right back to the Indianapolis Colts. They only turned it into a field goal to make it 13-0, and then you get right back to what you just know how to do so well. Another 3 plays, 9 yards. So in the first half of this game, or excuse me, the first half of this game, you've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drives. You haven't picked up a single first down. A bunch of 3-and-outs and 1 turnover on downs. That's what the New York Jets gave you in this football game in the first half. An absolutely dismal effort. They then get a punt by the Colts, and then they get the ball, and they finally unlock something. They remembered how good Breece Hall was. They figured it out. They're like, wait a minute. We have a really talented running back that we should utilize, that we should give the ball to more. We should find ways to be creative and get him involved. We have Devontae Adams. Let's get him involved. Let's get Garrett Wilson involved. Let's try to get these guys involved. 7 plays, 76 yards. It ends with a Breece Hall touchdown on a check down. He wasn't even the primary receiver on the route. They just threw a check down to Breece Hall. He was wide open, walked in from 29 yards out for a touchdown. So then you go into half 13-7. Okay. Indy's getting the ball to start the second half. You feel pretty good about, we played one of the worst halves we've played all season. Offensively, couldn't do anything. We finally get something there at the end. We're only down 6. We've only given up 13. If our defense continues to hold them to field goals, or they were forcing them to punt, so if they can get the ball, give it back to Aaron Rodgers, maybe, just maybe, the New York Jets would be able to do something. Well, the Jets got exactly the play that they needed. They got exactly the thing that they needed in order for them to be able to turn this game and flip it on its head. They got a turnover, and then they were able to go on a little bit of a run. We will talk about that run, the second half, and then the defense ultimately letting things down for the New York Jets in another key spot here on the other side. Hillsdale College, time's our most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely to improve yourself? Well, our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free, that's right, free online courses, including Constitution 101, the Introduction to Free Market Economics, The Great American Story, A Land of Hope, The Rise and Fall of the Roman Republic, and a brand new documentary-style courses on Marxism, Socialism, and Communism. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced so that you can start whenever and tune in wherever. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or just enjoy the lectures. So go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. hillsdale.edu/lockedon. PrizePicks. Maybe you are watching the Locked On Jets postcast while you're watching the second half of the action today after washing the taste out of your mouth of what happened in the football game for the Jets. PrizePicks, the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long. on PrizePicks, the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so that if your lineup stay in play, even if one of your players gets injured, if your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. They also have weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. We appreciate you joining us here on the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel for a Locked On Jets postcast. I've got you covered on the Jets side of things the remainder of the season. Jay Berman's got you covered on the Giants. He was doing the Yankees during the playoffs. I had you covered with the Mets. The Knicks are in action now, so you got those postcasts to look forward to. We've got you covered here. So if you are new, you're catching us for the first time, maybe you're listening to us in the podcast feed, why don't you join us? Subscribe to the YouTube channel Locked On Sports New York. Turn on that notification bell so that you are notified when we go live and you can get instant reaction to all of your favorite New York teams as they are in action. And you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm a little under the weather. And I will tell you, I sat down in this chair to watch the football game, and I thought to myself, man, I don't feel good today. And I know I got to deliver later on in the day for the Locked On Jets postcast. I got to bring my A game, dealing with a little bit of a cough. The nose is runny. Please, can the New York Jets give me something to get excited about in this football game? Could they give me something to where when I go in front of the audience and we get to talk about this football game, that we have something to talk about? And this first half, boy, was I worried. I already didn't feel good. The game was making me feel worse. It was bad all around. Bad all around for the New York Jets. Well, the second half started off a lot better than the first. 2 plays, the Jets force a fumble, and then they followed it up with 2 plays. Breece Hall, and then Breece Hall again, and the New York Jets took their first lead. They led 14-13. It was short-lived, and kind of the story and the MO for the New York Jets defense here is they seem to just always give it up in a tough spot. They seem to always have a breakdown. Now, we could talk about the defense at large here. The tackling was better. It wasn't great, but it was better. The penalties were better. They didn't commit any real back-breaking penalties that extended drives or kept things alive for the Indianapolis Colts. Were they perfect? No. They committed some penalties. Were they great at tackling? No. It was better. It was a better effort, and I would say a more inspired effort than we saw against Arizona. So from that perspective, they at least took to the coaching. They at least bounced back in that way. Didn't change the results. They still fell in this football game 28-27, but you did like to see them play better than they did a week ago against the Arizona Cardinals. And then the Colts go right down the field, 11 plays, 41 yards, to take a 16-14 lead. And then we stayed there for a little bit. We were stuck there for a decent part of the game. Then the Jets went on a drive, 4 plays, -2 yards. Doesn't matter, 3 points. They take a 17-16 lead. Then they get a 3 and out. The defense holds. And then the Jets, what felt like was going to be the touchdown that put things away, they went on a 6-play, 59-yard drive to make it 24-16 to take an 8-point lead. And then this is where the game completely turned for the New York Jets, because their defense, after taking a 24-16 lead, allowed the next 2 Colts possessions to be 70-plus yard touchdown drives by Anthony Richardson, a guy that a month ago this team benched. The Indianapolis Colts benched Anthony Richardson about a month ago because he wasn't playing well, was turning the ball over too much, wasn't reading the defense well, was not the best quarterback for the Colts to have on the field in order to win football games. So they turned to Joe Flacco. That didn't work out either. They then go back to Anthony Richardson. This is his first start since the benching. On the road in New York, how is he going to deal with it? How's he going to deal with the being thrusted back into the lineup after a month of sitting down, a month or so of sitting down and being benched in the first place? How is he going to react? And when the game was on the line, on the road, down 24-6, the Jets crowd, the Jets fans there at MetLife Stadium, engaged, excited, could feel that their team could win a football game. And I was watching the other games. They win this game, they get to 4-7, and I was watching the Dolphins, and they were leaving the door open at least a little bit. They ended up winning the football game, but the Bengals with a loss tonight would have put the Jets into a decent position. With a win over the Colts, they would have hopped over the Colts. They could have ended the day being in the 9 spot in the AFC. So you're watching this game in the second half, 24-6. Okay, it's bad. I still don't think they're going anywhere. But at 4-7 and all the way up to the 9 seed, you start to think, okay, maybe if they get hot here, maybe if some things break their way, things have kind of been breaking their way other than their results the last couple of weeks. You start to think to yourself, oh, maybe they still will have a chance. 8 plays, 70 yards in less than 3 minutes, and then 6 plays, 70 yards in less than 2 minutes. 14 points by the Colts on their last 2 drives, 70-plus yard touchdown drives to win the football game. Now, there was a Jets field goal in the middle there to make it 27-22. But Anthony Richardson led the Colts on back-to-back, trailing in the fourth quarter with the game on the line, back-to-back 70-plus yard drives. Can't happen. Can't happen. If this New York Jets defense is who they continue to say that they are, they cannot allow that to happen. One of them is bad enough. Allowing both of those plays to happen, allowing both of those drives to happen, and to allow Anthony Richardson to just run it into the end zone on a play that was so obvious. Just, you can't have it. And to me, I say it up here in the graphic, playing all the greatest hits. The Jets, in one game, in one 4-quarter game, did everything wrong that we've seen from them throughout this year. If they played any other team in the first half of this game with the way that they played, poorly, offensively, the way that they've played poorly offensively in a bunch of first half of this season, it would have looked like it did last week against Arizona. I know some people don't think Arizona's that good of a team, but when you play that poorly, the way that they did today, the first half against Arizona is what happens. Good teams take advantage of it. The Colts couldn't. They left the door open. The Jets almost stole one, and then they gave it away. So that's what I mean when I say the greatest hits. The defense, just like they did against New England. Fourth quarter, game on the line. All you got to do is hold up. You got to get a stop. You are the top group on this team. You are the backbone of this team. All we heard, just got to get a quarterback. This defense. You score them 20 points, this defense is going to hold. This defense is going to keep you in games with the game on the line. Even after they give it the first one. A field goal to make it 27-22. The only thing that beat you is a touchdown, and they let the Colts go right down the field. Right down the field. 6 plays, 70 yards, less than 2 minutes, and then whatever the end of that game was. The throw to Tyler Conklin, and then the check down to Breece Hall. That the only reason why you got another playoff is because you got a delay of game penalty because they tried to keep Breece Hall on the ground. And so you got to run another play, and then Kwity Paye sacked Aaron Rodgers. That's what the end of the game looked like. So I'm sure, as we are sitting here, Jeff Ulbrich has taken the podium. I'm sure that Aaron Rodgers has taken the podium, and I'm sure they're going to say some of the same stuff that they've said each of the last couple of weeks. And I'm here to tell you, it just doesn't really matter. It just doesn't matter at all because this team continues to do the same things over and over and over again. They don't change them. Nothing is different. Nothing from week to week gets better. They continued the stuff that was happening in weeks 2 and weeks 3 and weeks 4 of the season with supposedly their season on the line the last couple of weeks continue to rear their ugly head. We'll look at the numbers from this game and we'll give my final thoughts from this game here on the other side. FanDuel, get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. If you win, the FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. I had the Lions -14 today. That looked pretty good. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets with your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Look at the stats for this game. Aaron Rodgers, 22 of 29, 184 yards and 2 touchdowns, got sacked 3 times. He won't throw the ball down the field. And that's the other takeaway from this, right? That's the other thing that's important to look at from this game because we keep talking about it. He feels like he's risk averse. It feels like he doesn't want to throw the ball down the field. And he didn't throw the ball down the field. Everything was close. Now, he got the ball to Devontae Adams on some short routes, and he was able to make some stuff happen. He got the ball to Kenny Yeboah on Yeboah's touchdown that was out in space, and he made a play. You don't have to always throw the ball down the field, but you have Devontae Adams. You have Garrett Wilson. We have to take some shots. We have to take more shots than we did in this football game. And you brought Aaron Rodgers here because he's supposed to maximize the talent of these players. He's supposed to be able to take the ball down the field and unlock the defense and make them worry about being over the top. When you play the New York Jets right now, you don't have to worry about being beat over the top. You don't have to worry about Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets taking the top off the defense. You don't have to worry about it. He's a check down Charlie. That's all he is. The Breece Hall touchdown is a check down. A lot of his stuff out in space is a check down. He had a play early in the game to Jeremy Ruckert that Ruckert fumbled. They ended up not calling it a fumble, but it was a check down. He is unwilling, doesn't like it, doesn't like the read, whatever the case may be, is not throwing the ball down the field the way that he was supposed to when he was brought here, and it is a huge, huge, huge problem. Breece Hall, you look at his numbers, he had a pretty good day, 16 carries, 78 yards, the touchdown on the ground. He had 7 catches for 43 yards and 1 touchdown in the air. This offense is a lot of targets to Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Devontae Adams. I mean, those guys combined for 22 of Rodgers' 29 throws. It's those 3 guys. And if those 3 guys are able to make plays, if those 3 guys are able to take the top off the defense, or they're able to make plays out in space, that's where you win the football game. And if you are unable to do that, the Jets are a very one-dimensional, very basic football team, and they're very beatable. Just because Aaron Rodgers is in the backfield, he's not scary to other teams anymore. He's just not, because they have not shown the ability to consistently take the ball down the field and get you for big chunk plays. They don't have a bunch of 20, 25, 30. I mean, Taysom Hill had a 75-yard run for the Saints today, had another run on 4th and 1 that was good for, I think, 20. Just don't have those plays. The Jets don't consistently get those types of chunk plays, and they don't take shots down the field like Nick Westbrook-Akine got for the Tennessee Titans, a 98-yard touchdown from his own end zone. I'm watching red zones on the TV behind me. I'm watching Jamison Williams just run for days and days and days. They don't get those plays. The New York Jets don't consistently get those plays, and you can see it in the stats. You can see it when watching the football game, and the stats back it up. On the other side, Anthony Richardson was, I thought, really solid in this game. The Jets had a good strategy. They really gummed up the works for Jonathan Taylor. He only averaged 2.4 yards per carry, so they made Anthony Richardson beat them, and he had the one fumble that they lost. But other than that, he took care of the football, didn't throw any bad interceptions, was 20 of 30 for 272 and a touchdown, and he scored the 2 rushing touchdowns that were the key in the game, including the go-ahead touchdown, the walk-off touchdown to put them up 28-27. And he played solid football. Carried the ball 10 times on the ground. Josh Downs had a bunch of big plays. I mean, the Jets early in the game had a drive where 3rd and 13 backed up in their own end. Richardson was able to hit Josh Downs. That same drive was a 3rd and 9. And I think he hit either Alec Pierce or Michael Pittman to keep the drive alive. I mean, he just constantly, over and over and over again, they just kept drives alive. And they just didn't have an answer. They didn't have an answer for the Indianapolis Colts. They couldn't come up with the stop when they needed to, and they allowed those 2 70-plus yard drives to walk it off. And I wish I wasn't repeating myself. I wish I had something new to say, but there's nothing new about what the New York Jets are doing. You can sit down on a Sunday, have yourself a drink. I have my soda here. I've got my tissues because I don't feel good. Got to blow my nose every 5 minutes. And I sat down thinking, you know what? I'm going to have 0 expectations for this game. I am not going to let the results of this game bother me. And boy, we're setting those expectations before the game the right thing to do, because they played terribly in the first half. They gave you hope in the second half. And then just like they've done all year long, the defense or one side of the ball, either it's the offense not coming through with the ball in their hand with a chance to win, or it's the defense giving up a huge drive with the game on the line. That's what the New York Jets have been all this season. And it's frustrating that here we are in week 11, about to go into the bye week. And every week, we can point to something that is a repeatable thing from earlier in the season. Nothing has changed. The New York Jets are playing their greatest hits. And by greatest, I mean worst. And it's the same stuff over and over and over again. We shouldn't be surprised. They're a poorly coached football team. They are undisciplined. They just are not a good football team. And they kind of fool you for a little bit because of just the pure, raw talent that they have. And they can, for a couple of drives, for phases of a game, convince you that there's something more there. But when it comes to crunch time, they just don't get it done. They just don't. They are unable to come through in those big moments. And so here we are going into the bye week talking about a 3-8 football team. And I'm sure the moment I press the end stream button, I'll hear a lot about accountability and got to do the little things right, or got to be better, or whatever coach and quarterback are going to say. So that's it. That's all I got for you. I'm sorry. I wish I was in a better mood. I don't feel good. The team made me feel worse. Just a disappointing effort from the New York Jets. They fall 28-27 to the Indianapolis Colts. Make sure you check out the Locked On Jets podcast feed. For those of you watching us on YouTube, John will have even more bigger picture thoughts. He can kind of go wild. He has more time to kind of debrief from this and look at it from the 30,000-foot view. I get to immediately react with you all here on the YouTube side of things. So make sure you go over there and check out his post-game debrief as well. We got a bye week, and then we're back at it when the Jets take on the Seattle Seahawks. So we'll be back here again on the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel to cover that when it happens. The New York Jets defense fails them again in the fourth quarter as they allow 2 70-plus yard touchdown drives and fall to the Indianapolis Colts 28-27 to drop to 3-8 on the season. If there's a silver lining, they improve their draft stock to potentially pick the quarterback that gets them out of this mess. That's the takeaway that I would have, folks. But that's going to do it for us here. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we will see you next time.